Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome back to the channel. In this video, we're going to see how to help our creativity by using Seqund, the new sequencer designed by Alex Kidd. Let's get it started. I have been a fan of Max for Live probabilistic sequencer by Alex Kidd for years, and when I saw Seqund, it immediately reminded me a little bit about that sequencer because we still have pitch A, pitch B, and we can set the probability of playing the first one or the second pitch for every step. But this sequencer has way more features, new features, and it's also super well designed, very easy to go through. And last but not least, it's now a VST. So no more a Max for Live device that works only on Ableton, but you can use it on every DAW from Logic, Fruity Loops, Reaper, whatever you use. So a very interesting thing for everybody. As I said, the sequencer is well designed and intuitive, but I suggest you to read the manual because in this video we're not going through every single feature and it's loaded with features. So if you don't read the manual, you might miss some of them. So we're starting by taking a look at the interface, a very quick look of the macro areas and parameters, and then we'll start building a sequence so that we can dive deeper into the details of the sequencer itself. The sequencer is right now on sale for Christmas holidays until the 31st of December for 39 euros instead of 59. So if you want to add it to your collection, you find the link in the description. Alright guys, so here I have a simple track that I made for the purpose of this video. It has just a simple drum groove and chord with a synth just to set the key of the song that we're going to build everything else on. The purpose is building a bass line using Seqund. So I've already tried to build something and I want to show you that you can achieve musical result with it. I will show you the result I achieved just by starting from a preset and changing a few things, but then we'll build from scratch something. This is the drum line and the synth. Very simple. And this is the bass line I built on. Let's start from scratch though. The first thing to know is how to set Seqund in order to work with Ableton. First of all, let's create two MIDI tracks. So Seqund on one MIDI track. On the other track, we're going to put our synth, the synth that we want to control. So in this case, I'll just copy the sub-boom bass that I have on the other channel. Let's set the sub-boom bass. We need to set the MIDI from Seqund, channel 23. Same here on post effect. Instead of post effects, we set Seqund and then monitor in. In this case, we are able to make sub-boom bass receive MIDI from Seqund and to play the notes out. So Seqund is divided in two sections. The edit section, which is this window here, we can toggle on and off different windows to control different parameters. But let's start from the global view. And here you decide the length, the subdivision. So every step in this case will last 1/16 of a measure. If we can put to whatever we want, also one full bar. So that means that every step will move every bar. This is not the case, so let's set to 1/16. Then we have swing, then we have the length of the steps, the global length. That means that if we play a note and we set the length to 1, this will be just a very fast burst, depending also on the release settings of your synth. If we set it to 100, the note will last the whole 1/16 of a measure. Then we have the clock mode. On this clock mode here, it will play every step. Okay. If I put it to gate, it will play it will move from one step to the other only when the gate is on. You can see it just moves when it plays the open gate, let's say. Velocity, very straightforward. Octave as well. Transpose as well. You can move up of semitones. And here we introduce the scale. So scale, of course, quantize the notes to a specific scale. So even if we hit randomize, all the notes will be right on the scale that we choose. So in this case, our track is F sharp minor. So if we set F sharp minor, we hit randomize, all of the notes that we have will be in the scale. If we transpose it by some semitones, for example, if we set it +1 semitone, it will transpose it of 1 semitone and then set it right to the notes that are in the scale. So it will be actually 1 semitone. If we are in C major, half of a semitone is C sharp, but C sharp is not part of the scale, so it will move automatically the note to D actually. So this is how it works. If we set here after scale, this won't happen, so it will be an actual semitone, so it will be C sharp and you will be out of the scale. So I usually keep before scale. Oops. The pattern section allows you to create different ideas up to 12. So for example, I can create a sequence here, then I can copy this to pattern number 2 and change it a bit, and I can move from one to the other. You can also map this to your keyboard, so you can change pressing from C0 to B0, you can change from a pattern to the other, but this is a bit more advanced, so we won't talk about it. Now we can move to the edit section. So as soon as we toggle one of these views that are also in the global section, so for example the length here in the global section will gray out, because now we control the length of every single step. If we close this, whatever we do here will be deactivated and we will move back to the global value that we have on the Seqund. So you have to keep these windows open, these views open, if you want it to work. Now, these parameters are pretty simple to understand. I won't stop too much on it, but you will see me using them as we build the sequence. So we have gate, you switch on and off the step, the length, then we have what reminds us of probabilistic sequencer. So we have a pitch A, a pitch B, and the probability of playing one or the other. Then here we have octave. So if the note is too low, you want to put it up 1 octave, you can do it here, +1, +2. Everything that is set here, you can see it down here. As soon as you hover on the parameter, you see the note in this corner, you see the amount in this corner. Whatever parameter it is, you can see the value here. So again, octave, transpose, same as the global transpose, and velocity of the single parameters, same as the velocity on the global window. Then we have also the MIDI CC. We can set up to 3 different MIDI CC parameters and change them to control, for example, a synthesizer. We will see that controlling, for example, the cutoff of the sound. The last thing that I want to show you before moving to creating a sequence is that you can, for every row, decide how many steps you have from 1 to 16. So for example, I might want 4 of this, I might want 11 of this pitch B, 12 of this or 13 of this pitch A, and so on and so forth. So you understand that this creates very intricate and complicated patterns and sequences that turns into polyrhythmic stuff and makes everything maybe more interesting, but at the same time more complicated and randomic. So if I want to start a sequence, I can decide to start from a blank preset or to start from one of the presets that Alex prepared for us, or from the menu of the artist presets. As you can see, we have some well-known names like Alex, Arno, Brauter, Christian Burkhardt, Christy Cons, DJ Genere. We have so many. You can decide to start from here, so you can understand a little bit how you can use the different parameters. But I prefer to start from a blank project. The track that I'm working on is in F sharp, so the first F sharp minor. So the first thing that I'm going to do is setting the scale. So here we have all of the different presets from Ableton. We will set minor scale. Now, you can see that if I go on pitch A or pitch B, all of the notes are a C sharp 1. Now, C sharp 1 is a note that belongs to the F sharp minor scale, but it's definitely not our root note. So let's hear what happens if I press play. that's not sounding that good. And this is because we're basically just playing C sharp. C sharp is surely part of the F sharp minor scale, but it's not the root note. As far as you just play C sharp, it won't make any sense with some F sharp minor chords, okay? And the same problem we can have when we randomize the sequence. If the notes that the randomizer picks are everything but the root note, or you play the root note just once and you don't give enough importance to that root note, it won't sound any good. It won't be a musical result. Let's check it out. Doesn't make much sense, okay? If we go and see the note that he plays the F sharp on the first note, but then he plays a G sharp, he plays a D, he plays a E first. And this is not close to what I would like to hear. Let's try again. We're still quite far from a result that satisfies me. So here's how to improve these sequences. I wouldn't go and fix the notes already. I would first set some parameters in order to start already from something that is a little bit better. So let's go back to blank preset again. We set the scale again here, F sharp minor. Now you can see that close to every row you have 3 dots. So let's press on the dot of the pitch, and you can see here some parameter. The first one is the default value, which is now set to C sharp 1, which is the closest note to C, because C is the default value on the blank preset. So the closest note to the default value, but that's in the F minor sharp scale. But this is not our root note. So let's bring this up to F sharp minor and reset. Well, let's switch on some of the steps. Now it sounds already better. Let's go up 1 octave. So this is a good starting point. We are playing F sharp minor. Now we can start randomizing from here. But there are still a few things that I want to change before randomizing. And let's go back here. So the first one is the density. I don't want to have a randomization that changes everything in my sequence, because I'd like to keep some of the notes that I already have. Let's first see what happens if I randomize with 100. Everything changes. Let's see the result. Too much of a change. I don't like that. So let's go back and let's set this to 20%. Okay? Now if I randomize, I can see that most of the notes are kept as they are, and this is what I want. You can randomize the steps. I want full randomization, so I keep the density to 100. You can change on every row this value. Maybe these are a bit too high. You can hear that there are notes that are quite too high in pitch. I might want to narrow down this range where I move when I randomize things. And this is something that you do here. High value, low value. So my lowest value, I want it to be F sharp 1, because you see, I had to take up everything by an octave to have a note that is not too low. On the high value, I want it to be, let's say, F sharp 3, okay? Maybe it's a bit too much already, but that's 2 octaves and might work. Then if I want to okay, and that's pretty good. This is where you want to start from, because the moment you set everything to randomic, it probably won't sound good for 99% of the times where you hit randomize. And of course, you might happen to have some pieces where that thing is good, but then you have to fix everything else by hand. And if you don't want to do that, it's better to narrow down the randomizing range. Another thing that is very helpful when you want to set one of the steps to its default value, so in this case F#1, for example, if I have this thing, and I want to put in some more roots note, just because in this case we set default value to the root note, we press with the right key here and it goes down to the default value, so F#1. Okay, then from this point on we can also start setting also pitch B. So again, I will set this to F#1. I will narrow down the range from, say, even lower, so maybe a bit lower. So we want to have some notes that are lower than the F#0, but here I will take it to F#3. Reset. In this case, I might want to keep the density a little bit higher because I will give less probability to pitch B of being played. So I can, have something a bit weirder, let's say. So let's randomize and we will take down probability value a little bit just on some of the steps on. When you hear that a note is not a note that you like, you can still change it by hand. That was cool. And also I want to change this. Okay. So this is pretty cool and it's way different from randomizing the whole thing. This was the main thing I wanted to focus on because I know there is people that get these sequencers and think that you can just set the scale, randomize everything else and it will sound good. It won't. It will probably give you a track that if you don't have a good ear, it will take you out of the good path and will sound not good at all. So always consider setting the default value to the root note of your scale, starting from resetting to that value, reducing the range of randomization and control the range in which your notes get moved. Let's now to affect a little bit the length of the notes and the chance of them getting played. So first of all, I want to try to set some hold notes, so that means that you will keep the note played until the next step, which is on, and you create this legato effect, which is typical of the acid type of scenes. That's pretty cool. And it's even cooler when you do this octave up raise. So that's another thing that you might want to try. Also the length, you can decide to keep it very short. On some of the parameters, you can also set the range. For example, on the MIDI CC, if you assign randomic values here, but then you want to narrow down their range. Let's suppose this MIDI CC is manipulating the filter, but it's manipulating it too much. Okay, you want to narrow down the maximum level of manipulation and also maybe the minimum because it goes too down. So you close down this range. At this point, I want to assign this MIDI to something. So first of all, you have to decide the channel. So let's say MIDI CC1. To map MIDI CC to Ableton devices, you need another Max for Live device that I don't have that transform the MIDI CC to the parameter that Ableton works on. So you can go then here on MIDI and map it. But on external VSTs, you can actually map MIDI CC directly. If I go inside Seqund Bass, so let's choose a different waveform just for the sake of it to hear it better. Okay, so this is what I want to modulate a little bit. So we go here and we set MIDI CC and to channel 1. So let's randomize this. At this point we want to reduce a little bit this range because it's a bit too much. I want the effect to be way subtler than this. So by default this would be from 0 to 127, and this is the effect that you would have, which is way too much. So I want to close this. For minimum variations, let's go see on Seqund Bass what happens. You can see the knobs doesn't move that much now. One last advice is record everything. So if you start, for example, from a sequence that you kind of like, and then you want to start manipulating things, why not starting to record everything? So if some good ideas happen through the process, you have it. For example, I've heard something that I liked in the last part, so I'll go and look for it. Maybe this part. Maybe this part is pretty cool. Okay, so you can pick at the end just a short part of your sequence, and that could be the bass line for your track. What I want you to know is that the point of sequencer is giving you ideas. So it might spark some ideas in you. It might give you an idea, oh, that passage was really nice, I want to keep that, but maybe that other note is not sounding good at all, so I will change it. This is how you use sequencer. This is how you can use this. This is well designed. It has some nice features to help you to get quickly to a good idea, and that's what's important. Just take your time and experiment with it. Alright guys, so I hope this video inspired you a little bit or helped you to understand a little bit better the sequencer. The sequencer is on sale until the 31st of December at 39 euros instead of 59. You find the link in the description. I wish everybody happy holidays and I'll see you soon. Bye bye guys. Cheers.